Well, hi there. I'm making this video for two reasons, actually. One is to show off my new office. Do you like the decorations? Good. Let me know. Comment below. Tell me what you think of the decorations, or what I should do. The other, though, is to just get in on this Bitcoin mania. I had to make a video about this because people are going crazy with Bitcoin. They are buying a lot of Bitcoin, and that is driving the price up. Let's put it that way. There's all kinds of complicated matters that go into this, and I'll just say up front, if you want to talk or at least learn from a Bitcoin expert, you should look up James Altucher, Altucher. He knows a ton about just cryptocurrencies in general. He can teach you about Bitcoin a whole lot better than I can. But that kind of hits at the crux of the issue that I want to get into here. What do you know about Bitcoin? Or what does your mailman who invested half of his life savings in Bitcoin know about it? And I think this hits at the crux of investing. Warren Buffett, arguably greatest investor of our time, he says invest in what you know. And I think a lot of people don't understand Bitcoin. They don't understand cryptocurrencies. They don't understand blockchain technology. But they see their neighbor doubling their money in a week and they want to get in on that action. So this video is going to be about one specific strategy that you could use to profit in what I believe is a bubble. And this can be used not just with Bitcoin. This is a strategy that some people use. I'll get into it more. But I really want to hit on that key here. This is speculative, you know? Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, I'm very confident that they have a long-term future. As long as the world doesn't go into nuclear war or something crazy like that, our technology continues to compound and build and build and build. And there are a lot of advantages to a currency that is not centralized by a government, that is secure, that is private. There are a lot of advantages to these technologies. However, in the short term, we're looking at what it looks like to me is the biggest bubble ever that I've seen. So I don't know. I guess you'd probably compare it with like the Dutch tulip thing and maybe the dot-com bubble. But anyway, it's a big bubble. So first, let's just look. There are some huge indicators that it's a bubble. One, it's gone up like 2,000% in the past year. That's not a normal increase. Okay, two, I wrote these down. There's been tons of spin-offs of the initial Bitcoin technology. Now, I'm not even talking about other cryptocurrencies. I'm talking about like Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Exchange and ETFs and gold, Bitcoin Gold, and like all these things. This is another indicator that the hype is just extreme, right? That's another one. The hype in the media. It's making investors invest very emotionally, and human psychology is a beautiful thing. Emotion begets and compounds emotion, and this is what we're seeing right now. Also, yeah, if your mailman doubled his money last week, that's kind of a sign of a bubble, because he says you'd be stupid to not get into it, right? And so a lot of people do get into it, and then this drives the bubble up higher than the experts would expect. And so the experts kind of look like idiots in the meantime, but usually not in the long term. Okay, so I'm going to talk very briefly about what I've learned, I guess, about the future of these cryptocurrencies. And I want to say this because I do think there is long-term value, and I'm talking about a bubble here, right? So I'm not saying that Bitcoin won't continue to go up and up and up and up. At a certain point, it's probably got to crash because because of everything I just said. But the value of it could go up a lot before that, and then in the long term, it could be very valuable compared to US dollars. Not just because of the strength of Bitcoin, but because what's going to happen to the US dollars. Anyway, one thing that James Altucher talks about is he says you need to look at simple economics like supply and demand, okay? And when there is a demand for something and the supply is much lower than it, that drives the price up, right? So one argument he makes is that if you look at the whole world of stuff, of goods, I don't know where he got this estimate, but one estimate of that value in today's US dollars is something like $150 trillion. Okay? And the current cryptocurrency industry is around $100 billion. Okay? There is a huge difference between those two. And he's basically saying if the entire world at some point in the future shifts over to cryptocurrencies rather than paper money or gold or something like that, then that supply of 100 billion has to climb up to that demand of 150 trillion. Okay? So long term, I think there's absolutely value. Looking at the different cryptocurrencies and the value that they actually add, the problems that they solve, I think this is super important. And Bitcoin was kind of like the first mover, and there's a lot going on with it, and it solves some problems. But let's get into the specific investing strategy that I promised, because I don't want you to feel like you didn't get out of this video what you wanted. So again, you can do this with any asset that trades options. Okay? The reason this strategy would be used is that you're kind of unsure what's going to happen. You're like me. You're like, oh, man, this seems like a bubble. Isn't it going to pop tomorrow? But then you're also like, oh, human psychology drives those bubbles further and further and further than you ever thought possible, like I've seen in the past 2 weeks. It's absolutely incredible. Today, it's at like it's over 17,000 US dollars for one Bitcoin. And a year ago, it was like $100 or $700 or something like that, right? So here's what you can do. If you say, I don't know if it's going to keep climbing or if it's going to crash, but whatever it does, it's going to do it with flair. It's going to do it to a large magnitude, right? In another week, instead of 17,000, it's either going to be 25,000 or it's going to be 5,000, right? It's going big. So what you can do, and they just made trading options on Bitcoin available. You can do that on like Deribit, or I think directly on CBOE, which is an exchange. There's a couple others, but I'll let you do your research. Please do your research on all of your investments and how you go about them. But here's what you would do. You'd say, I'm gonna buy what's called a straddle. It's a call option and a put option at the same strike price, at the same date, and everything. And why would you do this? Again, the reason is because you're not sure if the price is going up or down, but you're pretty confident it's going up or down hard, okay? So if you can get an option to buy at a certain price, and that option only costs maybe a few $100s, and you can get the other side, an option to sell at that same price for another few $100s, well then, when it comes time to the strike price, or excuse me, when it comes time that the exercise comes due, if it's moved significantly in one direction or the other, then one option is completely worthless, but the other option is worth way more than enough to make up for your investment in both options. Okay? So again, this is called a straddle. You can look this up. It's a strategy probably not used a ton, except when maybe there's an earnings release coming out, or again, it's very speculative. It's not really my style of investing. I prefer investing in things that are a little more tangible and can generate cash flow. But I think speculating, first of all, on digital currencies is very valid right now because we don't know where things are going. Anyway, I hope this was valuable. Please comment below. Let me know what you think of this. What do you think of Bitcoin? Are we in a bubble? Are we not? What do you think of other cryptocurrencies? Where do you think this whole trend is going? Is it a trend? Is it a fad? You can answer that too. I look forward to seeing what you have to say, and I will see you next time.